My name is Meredith Walters. I'm the director of the Programs and Exhibitions Department at Brooklyn Public Library. And with me today I have Monica Abend. She's the program director at Cool Culture. Patricia Lanis, who is the founder and director of Calta 21. Yelena Macman, who is the executive director of the Brighton Beach Business Improvement District. Then we have Juan Carlos Popasangre, who is the, what's your position at the Brooklyn?
I'm the vice president.
Vice president of the Brooklyn, say that entire name?
Brooklyn Hispanic
Chamber of Commerce. And then Susanna Wu, who's here representing the Brooklyn Chinese American Association. To that end, our groups can't serve all of the 90 plus language speakers in Brooklyn. So what sort of introductory programs, experiences, and information would open up the HOB institutions to new Americans?
I think one of the most important things about working with communities where language or new Americans or immigrant communities is having just an opportunity for these communities and these families, seniors, children, to learn what is actually there. There is a barrier of just information. In addition to the educational enlightenment that can be had at these institutions, there's just, the first part is just understanding what they can find at these institutions. The families, they just don't know what's there. And why would they go if they didn't know? I mean, and that is the most basic part of just starting the journey. Each community, I think we're going to talk about and learn, each community is very different. So to truly find a one-size-fits-all, while there could be some methods to doing that, each community will bring its own values and perceptions about cultural institutions and how they can be incorporated into there.
To break the barriers, because then they become the bridge. You know, instead of accessing one-to-one, we're accessing one leader that then becomes like the spreader of the offers of the big institution. And I think that would make it much easier. Like, it's more cost effective. Right? You know, it's like the leader becomes a bridge, the leader within each organization. And everybody thinks about that. And then the language, your question about the language was, should we have a welcoming? It's always nice, but it's always nice, that means a lot. That means that, you have to diversify staff. It means, it's always good to listen to an accent, and in Brooklyn you listen to lots of accents, so it doesn't mean, I don't think it means that you need to have the language. You know that somebody speaks another language with the accent, that's already a way of crossing a barrier. And okay, they probably will understand who I am. And so the language itself, perhaps, and then it's through professional development also, I think, that you do, build the capacity of the staff to do, even if you don't know the language. How many languages can we know? Now you know 3 or 4, and you feel, oh, I'm multilingual. Well, you need to know, how many did they say? 19 languages. So where do you find people with those languages, or staff?
Yeah.
So are you going to capitalize on and focus on one language, or are you going to find ways of bridging those gaps? And I think it's easier if you find ways to bridge the gaps.
So in terms of introductory information, it would be working with organizations like your business association.
Yes, but also I would add to the list, within each and every community, there are many cultural organizations. There are associations of artists, of musicians, of artists, and I believe that's the bridge point. Those people, they organize their own events within the community, and it would be very good bridge to introduce those communities to the bigger range of organizations. Most of Russian-speaking families, as well as Chinese, as well as Latinos, they came to this country mostly for their children. and most of them understand not only school education but some cultural component that's the way to success future. And they are willing to spend time, effort, and money to bring their children to the work of art. We just have to help them a little bit. Maybe some translation, maybe some ad, maybe some events, within community introducing the cultural institutions. That's how I see it.
I guess you can also see it as a way of where do people gather? Where do those families, where do the grandparents go? And through them, access. And I guess also the beauty of accessing the adult and the older adult is a way of respecting cultural differences, and also a way of balancing. What happens also when you are like the non-English speaker, the kid becomes the power person in the family because it's like the bridge to the community. So it's another way of also empowering the adult again and balancing the family dynamics. If you offer something for the older person, and the older person becomes like the expert or the conduit, and it is the one who brings the child afterwards.
The work that we've done, we've seen time and time again that both adult and child have to be stimulated to have successful programming. That truly you're going to have increases in visitation when both adult and child are stimulated. While there's always opportunity in a small segment that want to go just to have the child run off and do their own thing, truly your new audience is going to be adult and child stimulated, or caregiver, extended family, adult member, and child being stimulated. So I think that's one of the key points to
Basically, what I'm trying to say is that we have to bring them here, know specifically to come to the museum, to come to the Prosper Park, to the library, specific to that. No, we have to bring it for something else that they love to do. For example, the Prosper Park, you have those beautiful baseball tournaments every summer. You know what would the most beautiful thing? And like she said, she's right. If you held one of those at the end of every season, you tell all those coaches and so forth that you want to do the last ceremony in one of these venues. Parents will come, the grandparents will come because they want to see the kid. And they will come to the ceremony, even though they have to go to the whole museum, to the 4th floor. And when they leave, they say, wait a second, I was here. They broke the ice. You guys broke the ice. But they came to the ceremony of the final tournament and giving all the work, giving all the trophies and so forth. And so we have to bring it for something else, not for excitement. We cannot invite them. Come and see the museum. They will not come because they're afraid. Last time also, I've been doing a lot of things, doing a health fair, let's say, for instance, in front of the museum, inside the botanical garden. So they will come for the health fair because they know that it's something in it for them in that case. So they will come for the health fair, but next time they know they're already inside the big, beautiful place. So next time we say, wow, I've been there. And the beauty is, they brag about it after that.
That's fine. I wanted to take a note on what Monica said before earlier about how people don't actually know what is there unless they're offered to go. So organizations like us, we have youth services, senior services, and we have ESL classes. We don't bring them to these places. They don't actually know that it's there for them. Right. So actually, these programs and associations are very useful as midpoints for them to be introduced to these facilities and institutions that they don't even know exist, right? And I want to take a note on what Yelena said earlier about what grandparents take care of the children and parents are always working. Well, we have youth services for daycare, and we have summer camp for elementary to junior high school children, and then we have ESL classes for parents, and we have senior services for elders that don't know any English. So we translate, we help them get their social services needs and all of that. So what we see is we bring senior citizens to a trip, we bring them out for a visit to any of the museums, and then we take the younger kids to the visit. So they're always separated in a way, right? I don't see that. They always interact at home, right? But they're lacking interaction outside of home together as a whole family.
So going back to the beginning, I think the key is when you design programming is how do you make the generational programming that's beneficial for both ends of the family, the child and the adult. But it's also, I guess, when you're designing the program, and it's which services organizations do you target so that they know that you have a program that's valuable for their communities. And those services organizations are, for me, they are the key, because they have the group. They don't have the individual, but they have a whole group. And getting people like Juan Carlos, who are leaders in their own community, and who have so many ties and understand the community, become part of the HOB organizations, the other grouping organizations in a way, like the advisors. I think that's key to understanding and getting a program that's relevant and meaningful to the audience, and not what we think that might be relevant and meaningful.
Well, I mean, who doesn't want to get something? A treasure hunter. Who doesn't? You want to be proud that you got something. When we go to school, we love to see the diploma, right? We can have a PhD, but if you don't see the diploma, you don't feel like you fully got the PhD or an associate degree. But for them, if you go to the 5 of those places, when you get the 5, then you can come back to the museum or whichever place you want it, and you have they will do it. I will do it.
Yeah, I think one of the really important things is being able to establish the value and reason for going to institutions. Each community is going to sort of enter into that conversation in a different place, and we'll probably talk about that later, within our different communities that we'll talk about. But I do think there could be an approach where all HOB institutions work together, like you shared. There's a scaffolding approach where more child-friendly or hands-on institutions could be the entrance point, but there is an idea where they really are all linked together, where their curriculum or programming sort of speaks to moving families throughout these institutions.
And for us, if we want, these communities to feel like they're at home, right, then we could incorporate some of their own culture's history in the museum or in the zoo, for example, an animal like a panda. From China, these kids are like, oh my God, that animal is from my country. In that way, I feel like they would be more welcome. They would feel more like home, and they would feel like, oh, okay, this place welcomes me because they have part of my culture in here. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
It's the visual always that connects, language. When you don't know the language, the visual cues are more important than the language. So if we can concentrate on the object, as you say, it's like on the object, on the animal, and not so much on the label, and divert our attention from the label or from the source of information that's in text to the source of information that's in the object or in the artwork or in the music itself, then it becomes a much easier. The language is not a barrier.
Ola, do you want to say something? Since you're in the library system, you do.
I have a lot. I was taking notes. It probably will be easier because I took a lot of notes. But I want to
speak up a little bit in that case.
Careful. Thank you. First of all, I find tons of excellent ideas here, and I think Panda is one of the most popular displays in DC Zoo. It doesn't bring only Chinese customers, but everybody together. I think it's very unifying. Like national symbols can be very unifying like this. But I want to go back to the Gretchen presentation a little bit. And I think my biggest problem with this group approach in library approach, and I think it is a general mistake that we all tend to make, is that we traditionally work with 3 biggest communities: Hispanic, Russian, and Chinese. Russian community basically stopped growing already for a while. Russian immigration largely stopped. It may resume, who knows what's going on in Russia, but for now it's been an old established community. Hispanic, and Chinese immigrations do continue, but we also have large and growing groups which evolved into other in this presentation. And if you live in Brooklyn, and I lived in several different areas in Brooklyn, and I've seen how neighborhoods change. And Coney Island Avenue used to be lined with Russian businesses. It is now lined with Pakistani businesses. And we do not, and this is very special communities. They are very insular. They come from the countries without library system, without museums, or without wide access to the museums. Not some of these communities are highly educated, but they're very community oriented, and they're trustful of their community leaders rather than us, because a lot of them see us as government representatives. Something that we have to consider, that we don't have to address only biggest groups of immigrants, but also growing groups of immigrants. We work with the communities with assumptions about these communities, but they're not always correct.
My point is, please, let's say if you go to any of these venues and you have an ID or identifier, please, if we can just have also, so they can feel welcome from the beginning, from the first door, to have also either a picture ID, a driver license, a passport, or consular card.
Or consulate
Because
card.
that would, because if you don't put that there, they're gonna come back. They're not gonna go through because I don't have a driver license, I don't have a state ID. But they do have consular card, they do have passport. If you don't put that at the beginning, they might not go through.
There's opportunities that are similar to that it's not just like a one-time welcome, but it's how does some of the groups that you work with or some of the families, what kinds of activities are going to be happening on a series. So we want to be able to provide programming that has individuals feel that they belong to those institutions, that they are welcome there, and not just for like, this isn't National Heritage Day of this community. Sometimes that happens. And I think it's something nice to feel that you always come back as a community resource. And I think that intergenerational is so important, that you want to feel from like the earliest stages, it's a place, and as these families grow and prosper, one day maybe they can come back and sort of be ambassadors, or maybe one day buy a membership. So I think it is really important that intergenerational, and really to provide programming not just one-off, but integrated and scaffolded with the various institutions, and something that has a life beyond like a one-time thing.
Find from my work from Russian community is that heart of Brooklyn is not really conveniently located. Institutions of this area are not easily accessible from southern Brooklyn, for instance, or even northern Brooklyn. So I think it is important to find partners in the communities, and under the logo and under the umbrella of Heart of Brooklyn, go and work in a local area.